Hey there. My name is Remy, and from an early age, my parents have always made sure that I knew how important it was to do well in school. Because of this, I did my best to study hard and to get good grades and learn everything that I could. The funny thing is that I really enjoyed school. I would make a point at the beginning of each new school year to introduce myself to my teacher and try to befriend them. This did make me a bit unpopular with my fellow students as they saw me as a teacher's pet, but that never bothered me. After all, school was very important for my future, so I didn't mind if a few of my fellow students would give me grief. It was the start of a new year, and I was all prepared. I had new books, pencils, and a shiny new calculator as well. I had even picked up a coffee mug for my teacher that had rainbows on it. It was something of a tradition for me to give my teachers a coffee mug at the beginning of the year, and then another at the end. Some of my fellow students thought it was a way for me to bribe the teachers for good grades, but it was more just a way for me to show them my appreciation. If they didn't do their jobs after all, then I wouldn't learn what I needed to learn to help me get set up for success in my future.
Hello there, class. My name is Mr. Bowman. Oh, what do we have here? Is this from you, young lady?
Yes, sir. It's just a tradition I have that I like to do at the start of each new school year. Do you like it?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. And what is your name? Remy?
My name is Remy.
Such a pretty name for a pretty girl. Thank you very much. Now, please take a seat.
I did as I was told, and Mr. Bowman began to teach the class. It was a rather normal day, actually, although I kind of felt that he kept looking at me, and the way that he made eye contact made me feel a bit uncomfortable. By the end of the week, Mr. Bowman surprised us with a pop quiz. Everyone in the class moaned as he announced it because we all knew that none of us were ready for it. Even as much as I studied, I struggled to try to answer all of the questions. Everyone in the class felt awful when we went home for the day, and we were all certain that we had failed it. All weekend long, I dreaded seeing the results of the quiz. On Monday morning, Mr. Bowman handed back the quiz to the class, and everyone but me failed it miserably. Somehow I had passed, but not by much. As I looked at my answers, though, something didn't add up. There were questions that I knew I had answered incorrectly, but they had been marked correct. I was more than a bit confused, and I waited until everyone had left the classroom to go and talk to Mr. Bowman to get some answers. Hey, Mr. Bowman, do you have a second?
Oh, Remy, for you. Of course. What is on your pretty little mind?
Well, it's just that I think that you might have made a mistake on my quiz.
Oh, did I not give you enough marks? Here, let me have a look.
No, actually, I think that you might have given me too many, I said as I handed him the quiz. He reached out and held my hand for a little too long. The way he caressed the back of my hand made my skin crawl. After a few seconds, he just shrugged and passed it back to me.
Oh, I see what you mean, but there's nothing that we can do about it now. I've already put the marks into the computer and it can't be changed. But I really don't have a problem doing a favor for you like this. But it does look like you might need some extra help with this material. Maybe I could come over to your home and give you some private lessons?
His forwardness caught me off guard. I had never had a teacher treat me like this before. No, that's okay. I think I'll be better prepared next time. This quiz just caught me off guard. But thank you. Before he could respond, I quickly walked out of the classroom and headed home for the day. I didn't know what to make of the way he had reacted, but I decided to just let it slide for the moment. That is, until I decided to try out for the volleyball team. I had played the previous year, and while I wasn't the best player, I had been practicing. To my surprise, Mr. Bowman had volunteered to coach the team. When I heard this, I contemplated quitting the team, but decided that it would probably be okay. For the first few practices, things went okay, although Mr. Bowman did stare at me quite a bit. It wasn't until after our 5th practice that things got weird. We were practicing serving, and Mr. Bowman stopped our practice to come over when it was my turn.
Remy, you are doing it all wrong. Here, let me show you.
He came over and stood right behind me, gripping my arms tightly and moved them as if I was serving. I don't know why he had chosen to put his hands on me, as he hadn't done this with the other players, but it made me feel very uncomfortable to have him that close to me and to have his body pressed up against mine. A few weeks later, though, it got so much worse. A teacher from a previous year, Mrs. Matthews, had been walking by the gym and saw me practicing. She had come in to say hello, and we were talking for so long that the other girls had already gone into the changing room and showered. By the time that I had finished speaking with her, the locker room was empty. Nervously, I rushed into the changing room and showered as quickly as I could. Wearing nothing but my towel, I went into the changing room and was about to get dressed when Mr. Bowman entered the room. "Mr. Bowman, what are you doing in here? You're not allowed to come in here."
Oh, aren't I a lucky one? I didn't think anyone was still here. Oh, it's okay. Come on now. Don't act like you haven't been wishing that something like this would happen. Don't be a prude. Why don't you just put that towel on the ground and then we can have a little bit of fun?
I was petrified. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't find my voice. Slowly, he inched towards me with his hands reaching for my towel. Without thinking, I suddenly screamed as loud as I could and then kicked him as hard as I could in between the legs. He crumpled to the floor in agony, just as Mrs. Matthews and Principal Jacobs ran into the room. The two of them had been walking by the gym when they heard me scream and were surprised to see me in a towel and Mr. Bowman in pain on the floor. It didn't take them long to realize what had happened, and once they did, Mr. Jacobs restrained Mr. Bowman while Mrs. Matthews grabbed my clothes and led me out of the changing room. The next hours were a blur as police questioned me about what had happened and what led up to the event. I don't really remember what they said, but I do know that the next time that I saw Mr. Bowman was at his trial. The judge heard my testimony and then the testimony of 7 other girls that finally came forward after Mr. Bowman had been caught. They all had similar stories to mine, and with the weight of all that evidence, Mr. Bowman was sent to prison for decades. When I got older, my parents told me that Mr. Bowman would probably die in prison because there was no way that he would get out on good behavior. He had hurt far too many people for that to happen. As if that wasn't bad enough, his wife divorced him before his trial was even over, and his children disowned him as well. So not only was he rotting away in prison, but no one ever visited him. As for me, it took a long time and a great deal of therapy before I ever felt safe again or learned to trust again. But I did get there. I did take some time off school after the incident occurred. But once I went back, I hit the books hard, and I even graduated a year early with the highest marks in the school too. Currently, I'm in my last year of medical school, and I will start my residency in the fall. Before I know it, I'll be a doctor helping people. And with any luck, maybe my boyfriend will even propose to me by then. For now, though, I'm just happy with the direction that my life is going. Thanks for watching. Please like the video for the algorithm.